Marty and Avrum, we're still alive. I can't believe it. People say to you, are you still alive? Yeah, this is me, I'm alive. We have an amazing story to tell here. Excuse me. You are like amazing. This is Rosemary.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You have a story about your family, your father, your parents. You are, part of this enormous Le Jardin complex. And you, as a child, were telling me your father lived in Rome, was it?
He moved to Rome when he was
Yes.
17, yes.
17, yes.
He was a shoemaker.
Yes.
He
made the shoes.
He made shoes, yes, in a factory. But
Yeah.
back in southern Italy, he used to go from market to market selling shoes. It's called the mercato, or like a flea market, what they would call here. And then he moved to Rome, was working in a factory, then eventually moved back to southern Italy, was still doing the markets, eventually then opened up one little shoe store, and I believe he might have opened up a second one in my mom's town and one in his town.
All his homemade shoes.
Well,
And he brought other shoes in, too.
Yeah, he brought other shoes in, and he would fix shoes, and that was his trade. He was a shoemaker.
Yeah.
And then one day they took a vacation to Rome, or not a vacation, they went to Rome when my brother was 10 months old to see about maybe living in Rome. He was doing, they were surviving at that point.
Yes.
And then from Rome, they said, listen, we're already in Rome, so why not hop a flight and we'll go to Canada and see what it's like there.
Right.
Because my mom had brothers and sisters here. So they came on vacation and never went back.
And never went back.
Never went back.
But they've been back since.
They've been back since, yes, many times, but never went back then. So basically they came with the clothes on their back and as a vacation and
With
decided
two
to stay.
suitcases.
Yes, and left everything there and started a life here. And my dad was already 27, 28 at the time.
Wow. Did they arrive at where a lot of Italians came at the port there?
No, they flew.
Oh, they flew, because some people came on the boat.
Yes,
And that
they
famous
flew.
boat.
Yes.
Your
they came in
father-
61,
Oh,
so
okay.
they were already,
Yes.
they flew.
He lived on the street.
He did in Rome when he first moved to Rome, yes.
What was that? What does he say? What was it like?
It's funny because I never knew that story until just before he passed away. He told us that story.
Before he passed away.
Yeah, we never really, we knew he was always very poor, but we never knew that particular story of him living on the streets.
Was it hard living on the street?
My father was never a complainer.
Never.
He never played the victim, never, it was the cards that he was dealt, and he worked hard, and he never once ever heard him play the victim.
Wow, amazing.
His dad died in South Africa.
He did.
Not in South Africa, sorry, in Eritrea,
Uh-huh.
where a lot of Italians had moved.
Moved, yes.
So he lived in Eritrea as a bricklayer, and then war broke out, and he became a prisoner of war and died.
What was it like for people getting off the boat or off a plane? You got your two suitcases, you don't know anybody, and you're there in the middle of a big city.
And they
What
came
was
in
that
January.
like?
I don't know, you'd have to ask my mom. I'm
We
sure,
got your mom here too.
I'm sure it was very difficult.
We're gonna ask her.
Yeah, I'm sure it was very difficult. They were, when they landed, they first lived with my uncle.
Yes.
But like I said, they had some money back in Italy, so they sold off what they had
Right.
and had money sent over. And relatively quickly, because my dad was an extremely hard worker. They were both very hard workers. Relatively quickly, they bought a shoe store on Dundas.
In Toronto.
In Toronto on Dundas.
Was
So
he still making his own shoes?
He was fixing shoes, and
Fixing
I
shoes,
believe
like a
bringing
shoe
shoes
repair.
in. Yeah, and I believe bringing
Yeah.
shoes in and selling them. And we
Yeah.
lived in the back of the shoe store, which is
Wow.
where I was born.
Yeah.
I was born on
You're the daughter of the back of a shoemaker's door.
exactly. And he used to drive a coffee truck.
He drove a coffee truck
When he wasn't working in the shoe factory. My mom was running the shoe store. My dad was in the
and
factory.
he did a coffee truck.
And that's where the business started.
Work ethics for immigrants was so difficult. I mean, they were so dedicated. Some were working 12, 14 hours
Well, they
a
were
day.
working piecework.
Really?
So in the factory, he was working piecework. So the more shoes he made, the more money he made.
God.
And then on his off hours, he would drive the coffee truck, and that's where the business started. Because he would say, listen, I'll do your event, and I'll do your event. My
So
mom,
he started this whole big complex, Le Jardin, started with the idea of a coffee truck.
It wasn't really an idea, it just sort of evolved.
It did.
It just sort of.
Oh my gosh.
It wasn't an idea. I don't think it was anything where he was planning, I'm going to do a banquet hall. It was just, how do I make money next? How do I make money next?
But this is an amazing story. You're running a coffee truck, and then, you know, things keep building and building and building, and then you build this multi-million-dollar hall.
Well, prior to this hall, so he was a
Wasn't he?
caterer.
Yes.
He was a caterer for many, many years.
In a pool hall, right?
That was after he was a caterer. So he was a caterer for up until I was 9, I guess.
Yes.
So I don't know how many years that would have been. I think he started the business the year I was born. So it would have been 9 years he was a caterer. Then he bought his first banquet hall on St. Clair. There was a
Yes.
pool hall downstairs, yes. And upstairs was the banquet hall. And we had that for, I guess, maybe 10 years. And then he sold that to just get out of the business. He was done with the business because it is very exhausting. And bought a plaza out in Brampton. And then my mom and him were driving by this property one Sunday afternoon. They saw a for sale sign. He said, well, this is a nice property. But we never with the intent to build a banquet hall. It was to invest in the property and maybe rent.
Build houses or something.
Whatever. There was a building on it. Rent the building that was on there. Anyways, I'm not quite sure of all the details. But one thing led to another, and
here you are.
Here we are.
Well, this is, you know what, we're going to talk more with Rosemary. This is an unbelievable, incredible story.
It is.
It's a real, true Canadian, Italian story. Whether you're Italian, Jewish, Polish.
Doesn't matter.
They came with nothing. I remember my grandparents came here with nothing, with suitcases.
Yes.
And you know, and they didn't even speak English. The crazy thing was, when people arrived, what was it, Port 42 or something? I forget what it was. But a lot of the people had names, and the immigration officers couldn't understand the names. So they changed the name.
Yes.
The name changed.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you know, you're Gagloski, and then you're Gla.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
We're going to talk some more. We're going to meet your mom. This is an amazing story. I just can't believe it, you know, how
it evolved.
How you never know where it all started. And
well,
this
I have
is
to
where
say
it
that
started.
once my brother took it over or started working here, and I believe I was in university.
Yes.
So they bought in 84. So I believe he started working here 86, 87, 80. I'm not quite sure. He was out of university. He was a civil engineer and he couldn't find a job. So it was my brother, the next generation, who was pushing to, let's renovate, let's build, let's take it to the next level.
He told me he used to wash dishes. He did everything.
Oh, so
clean the floors, everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely. We did everything.
This is unbelievable.
We did. I can roll that table so fast.
Can you?
Oh, God, yeah. Like, you have no idea. I can get that table from there to there in 3 seconds.
Hard work, my goodness. We're going to be back. We got a lot more to talk about. And we are going to talk about her success, which is not an instant success. It's her rice croquettes. Rice croquettes that people are going crazy. We'll be back.